What's up? This is how I totaled my 240, and this is the process that it took for us to fix it. So here's the damage. Rocker panel, door, popped my rear over fender off. This angle looks super bad because the over fender is popped off, so it looks really bent. But here's my chase run. We didn't look at the cars, we just went after it. I think he's trying to pull away from me, he's trying to gap me, so his car is faster than mine, so he did gap me on the straight, but I managed to catch him up here. Yeah, I think he's trying to run away from me. But I love this transition right here. So here's what happened. There's a little bump right here, and it's right there, and I transitioned over top of it, and it just made my car jump and threw me to too much angle, so I just spun. I spun, and he just had nowhere to go, so he hit right into me, and it sucks because I boomeranged into him. Like, I was out of the way, and then I hit the front brakes, and it put me back into his line. And here are some pictures. It's like knocked in 3 inches. I finally got the door off. It broke all the locking mechanisms. The rocker panel's pushed over. It cracked the paint on the cage. You can see it's creased on this B pillar. This is a bad picture, but you can tell it's the rocker panel's pushed even up there. I got a door on Craigslist for 50 bucks. Here's the door test fitted. Does not latch. I checked to see if the alignment was still straight, and you can see the thrust angle is 0.04, so it's not bad. The camber got off a little bit, but the chassis is not bent or tweaked. I found this 240 rotting at this dude's place. He let me cut out the parts I needed, which was awesome. I wish I had a Sawzall, because a cutting wheel sucked. I went through so many discs and it did not cut out very well, especially in the quarter panel. Got it all fitted in Chloe's car. And a puppers, 2 puppers. And now I was doing all the spot welds. This sucked. There were so many spot welds. I used a drill bit to center the hole. Alright, hole punched it, drill bit for like a half a second, and then a spot weld thing to get them all out. You can see the dent in that rocker panel. Not perfect, but there's a little bit of rust, but it's just surface rust. And now time for the bodywork part of it. Yeah, it's super tweaked. So I cut it out, and I was cutting it out, it was slowly popping out. Like every cut, it was cracking and popping. But all the inner was like spray foam, which was really weird. Got all the spot welds off, hammering it back out. So we don't know what we have to replace. We're going to try to replace just the rocker panel, but we don't know if we have to do this whole back section too. And we went to Harbor Freight and we got a Porta Power. This thing fixed the car, as you'll see. And we plan on pushing off the cage off the other side. So we're pushing off the cage off the other side. You have to do this in so many areas. So we couldn't get the door jamb out far enough, and we figured out that the cage was bent, and the cage was holding the door jamb too tight. So we had to heat up the cage. You can see the Porta Power is right there. It has a little bit of tension on it, and we're just trying to warm the cage up so it could bend back. The proper fix for this would probably be to cut the cage out, but we were kind of on a time frame and we didn't really want to. So once we got the cage pushed out, we realized the lower rocker panel was just too messed up. So we decided to cut it out, and look at all that rat shit. The lower panel was all messed up from jacking it with the jack, so we had to straighten out. It was really hard to find all the spot welds because it was a little bit rusty and the jack, it wasn't straight at all, so we had to straighten that back out. Since we had to spot weld this rocker panel out, we had access to the inside, so we hammered out that big dent that was there. So our main issue is the door gap was just too tight. We couldn't latch the door. That's what we were fighting. Like, this whole panel is pushed in. I'm surprised the rear window didn't break. You can see it's just too tight up top. Putting some extra welds in there, a little bit more than factory for some extra chassis stiffness. But which is funny, from jacking the car right under that panel, there was a big rust spot. And so we're actually doing a rust repair. You can see we used the latch off the new panel. So we couldn't get the door gap right. Um, if we probably would have cut the cage out, at least the door bars, it would have popped out. But we think the cage was holding it, like it was tweaked in. So we're cutting down the door jamb line, and once we cut it, just that line, we're gonna hammer it back and then spot weld, or not spot weld, we're gonna weld it back. So it's gonna essentially push the door jamb back just like a little bit, the size of the cutoff wheel. So we just welded down the door jamb gap, and now we're taking the welds down. Cutting through both sheets of metal just to have the perfect butt weld scenario. This was a drift fix. We're not trying to make a show car out of this. We're just trying to get the door to shut. We're trying to get the over fender back on, looking nicely, not all caved in, and we're trying to get a side skirt back on the car. So don't try to fix your show car 240 like this, but this gets the job done, and I think it turned out way better than I thought it was going to. Because I got the rocker panel for free, and I got the door for 50 bucks. So without time and materials, I'm in this 50 bucks. And slowly tacking it into place. You move around so the metal can cool down and you don't warp it too much. Because if you keep welding in the same spot, it can warp or you'll just blow through. So you just jump around, tack weld. You have it. It's all stitched in. Door gap's good. The door closes. Pretty impressed with how it turned out. I mean, it was pushed in like 3 inches if you can remember from earlier. Door actually closed like factory. Door gap's not bad. And then we just took off all the welds, made them flat. And now, since most of it is going to be covered by everything, we're just going to spray paint it. I didn't do the whole body, I just did. You can see the cream factory paint there. You can see all the wrinkles from when we hammered that dent out. But again, a side skirt's going over that. And here I got the door on, got all the panels on, went to Speedy Signs, and we got it rewrapped, and the car is good as new. And enjoy this video. Thanks for watching.